Now, in September 2022, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu had suspended all activities of RTEAN over pockets of violence recorded in the state. The TUC National President Festus Sifo says the ban remains unacceptable to the Congress, adding that the Labour Centre has made all efforts to settle the disharmony, including involving the federal government, but it proved abortive. News Central spoke to Dr. Mashola Deji, public affairs analyst, on this development.
Between Outing and Lagos State government at the moment is uncordial, but we can't say that the Outing, which the TUC is fighting for, is against the state, because recently we saw the TUC, who intends to embark on a protest on Monday, going against the decision of Labour as regards the strike in relation to government removal of subsidy and provision of palliative. So APC government at the central, APC government and the state, the political godfather in Lagos State is the current president, and for TUC to have taken that position, so we can't say that TUC is against the state government. Now, having established that connection, the action of TUC is very significant in the sense that it seems to end the reign of impunity in state and federal government as regards the respect for the court and obedience to the orders of the court, whereby there is a judgment favoring the Outing, but the Lagos State government had frequently disregarded the court order, and TUC, being the labor union that Outing is part of, had decided to take on.
And let's stay on the story for a bit, as we're now joined by Mr. Abiodun Sowunmi, a public affairs commentator. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Sowunmi, and thanks for joining us at News Central now.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Mr. Sowunmi, the current state of things between the Trade Union Congress and the Lagos State government regarding the ban on the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, RTN, has left much to be desired. How would you assess this situation? What's your assessment?
Yes, I think there are issues on both sides. In the first instance, on the part of the trade union, we have seen over the years how violence tends to reign over the affairs of the trade unions in relation to the transport sectors. And I'm referring precisely to Road Transport Workers Union and RTEAN. We also remember in the last election there were serious concerns expressed by Nigerians residing in Lagos State over the activities of this union, these two unions. That does not mean that government has a right, to ban labor unions from operating, because it will violate the ILO convention in terms of workers have a right to freely associate with each other. But from the Lagos State government viewpoint, their own concern is that, look, we have had enormous violence with the trade union leadership not doing anything, to curtail the level of violence in the state when it comes to union matters. I'm referring to the transport sector union matters. And because of that, they felt compelled that, look, they really need to reorganize it, proscribe it. They tried to turn it into a park and garages committee. That didn't go down well, because it's not the duty of the government to associate workers. It's the duty of the workers to associate themselves. And the court has so found on this matter. But the implementation of it has not really happened, which I think is what the TUC and NLC are trying to compel the Lagos State government, to implement the court judgment. And whatever the concerns of Lagos State is on this matter can only be premised on security. But then it's a matter of having to go into negotiations with TUC, which I understand the TUC said they have had several contacts with Lagos State government. So the law must be obeyed, yes, no matter what. We live in a democracy. The rule of law has to prevail. It's quite clear that if government still has some concerns around security, since the duty to protect lives and property is invested in the government. if they have some concerns.
Yes. So Mr. Sowunmi, the bone of contention now is security. The RTN said, we've addressed these issues with concerns to security internally, and we're no longer fighting. Everything is fine. But Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu also cited concerns about violence as a reason for the initial suspension in 2022. Now, from your perspective, how should the government balance security concerns with the rights of labor unions? You also highlighted the International Labour Organization Convention that, it gives workers the right to freely assemble. So where do we draw balance?
Government should not forget the first duty of any government, if you go through our constitution as amended, the Federal Republic of Nigeria's constitution as amended, is the protection of lives and properties. So within that context, the government thought it acted, in line with the spirit and letters of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But in a dispute, the courts are the interpreter. The courts are the arbitrators. They decide what the law says and what the spirit and letters of the law of the laws, should mean. So it is not for government to decide that. And given that situation, one must appreciate the concerns of the Lagos State government over violence. But at the same time, government needs to understand the fact that the freedom to associate is also a fundamental right, which is also in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So in this situation, we cannot claim that where you have concerns on violence, which at times do sprinkle when the road transport workers are having their events or organizing elections or due to rivalry one way or the other, or leadership crisis, that should not be an excuse to permanently proscribe them. I think what the government needs to do, yes, you may suspend them temporarily with a view to allow. But what the government needs to do is get the Commissioner for Labor to engage, with the trade unions with a view to agree on what to do in terms of ensuring that there will be no violence when they conduct their affairs. At least other members of the public have a right to live in peace.
Now, finally, Mr. Sowunmi, before I let you go, if the Trade Union Congress go ahead with the threat to, shut down economic activities in Lagos, what could be the potential economic and social consequences for the state and its residents? And do you think they will go ahead to carry out this threat if the situation is not resolved?
Honestly speaking, in this climate that we are in now, this is not the time for strike. But I understand the need for strike in many cases because it's the only weapons workers have, to make their demands, apart from negotiations, is really the most effective weapon. We realize that when it is not until when strikes are called or threatened that government normally goes into negotiations with workers. But it is not at this stage with current economic problems. I don't think strike is the right answer to this issue. I think government should immediately try to avert the strike. It will affect the economy of Lagos State. It's going to affect people's income. It's going to affect people in the informal sector a lot because many people will not be able to go to their marketplaces and hand their daily living. Life is already tough. I think it's in the interest of everybody, including Lagos State, to immediately, go into negotiations with the TUC and NLC.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Abiodun Sowunmi, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.